Here's part 2 of my session with Karen. We're picking up as her stress is starting to come down and we're moving toward her plan. Watch how Competency 8 facilitates client growth, shows up naturally throughout this portion of the conversation. Let me orient you to where we are. Karen has identified her goal. She wants to feel less stressed and have a grounding plan for her beadroom project. She's established her measure, that stomach position, as her physical indicator of stress and overwhelm. Through our exploration, clarity about her patterns and triggers has surfaced naturally. Now comes the transition that matters. We're moving from insight to implementation, from awareness to action. Watch how this happens, not because I push her toward it, but because she's ready. As you watch, look for these specific ICF markers. 8.02, designing goals and actions. Notice the partnership in creating next steps. 8.03, client autonomy. Karen generates her own solutions and timeline. 8.05, exploring barriers and resources. Obstacles are addressed without dramatization. 8.08, acknowledging progress. Watch for how movement is recognized authentically, not celebrated artificially. And 8.09, closing the session. The partnership concludes with honor and respect. Here's how ICF frames this marker. 8.02 says the coach partners with the client to design goals, actions, and accountability measures that integrate and expand new learning. Notice that word partners. It's deliberate. This is collaborative design, not coach prescription. I'm not telling Karen what to do. I'm partnering with her as she figures out what she needs to do. The ideas are hers. The plan is hers. The accountability is hers. My role is to create the space and ask the questions that help her access her own wisdom. Here's what you'll see. Karen identifies her own next steps. No suggestions come from me. The ideas emerge from her own thinking. She creates her list, her timeline, her acceptance criteria. Notice the specificity she brings without any prompting from me. And she initiates the conversation with her husband entirely on her own. I didn't suggest it. I didn't guide her there. The coach asks questions. Karen provides all the answers. That's the distinction that makes this coaching, not consulting. Marker 8.03 is about client autonomy. ICF says the coach promotes client autonomy in the coaching process. Here's the key phrase. The client designs their own homework. This isn't about offering choices from a menu I've created. It's about genuine autonomy. Karen decides what she'll do. Karen decides when she'll do it. Karen decides how she'll track it. My job is to support that process, not to control it. Watch for the barrier exploration. Notice the simple question I ask. So what else might get in your way? Karen identifies the barrier herself. She recognizes that coaching requests during her project week might interfere with her scheduled blocks. That's a real barrier. Specific, concrete. And then watch what happens. Karen creates her own solution. Excel calendar blocks become her tool. I didn't suggest this. She invented it. The barrier is acknowledged. The solution is created. Then we move forward. No dwelling, no drama. That's how skilled coaches handle obstacles. Marker 8.05 says the coach invites the client to identify potential results, barriers, or resources and learning from actions taken. Notice, invites the client to identify. The coach creates space for Karen to explore what might support or hinder her progress. Then Karen names both the obstacles and the solutions. Complete agency in her process. The barriers aren't mine to solve. They're hers to anticipate and plan for. That's what builds real capacity for follow through. Here's something important to notice. The session opened with, "Where is your stomach?" establishing that baseline measure. Then the work happens, exploration, awareness, action planning unfolds naturally. And the session closes by returning to that same measure. Has anything shifted? Karen's words say it all. It's still high, but it's not as high as it was. Progress is acknowledged quietly, not celebrated loudly. Notice the authenticity in that moment. She's better. She's not where she wants to be. And that's honest. Look at the language ICF uses in marker 8.08. It says the coach acknowledges and supports client progress and success. Notice acknowledges, not celebrates. This is quieter, more authentic, more aligned with where the client actually is. Forced celebration can feel dismissive when a client still has work ahead. Karen made progress. She's not done. Acknowledgement honors both of those truths. Watch how the session closes. The language matters. Is this a good place for us to hit the stop button? Notice the collaborative us. We are in this together. Karen confirms she has what she needs. The session ends when she says it ends. Her assessment matters. This is her session, her journey, her outcome. And notice what's missing. I don't thank her for letting me coach her. That language centers the coach, not the client. She hired me to do a job. We did the job together. Simple, clean, respect. Marker 8.09 says the coach closes coaching sessions by honoring the process and the client. Honoring the process means the session structure is respected. Agreements made at the beginning are referenced at the close. The stomach check connects the end to the beginning. Circular, complete. Honoring the client means Karen's agency and ownership are preserved all the way through the final words. She's not dismissed. She's not managed. She's respected as the author of her own transformation. Let me summarize what you're about to observe. First, the client generates every action step. Not one suggestion comes from me. All ideas emerge from Karen's thinking. Second, the coach never prescribes. You won't hear, you should. Or, here's what I want you to do. Only powerful questions. Third, barriers are explored briefly, then moved past. Obstacles are named, solutions created, forward movement continues without dwelling. Fourth, the measure is tracked from beginning to end. That stomach position creates a through line that measures real progress in the moment. Fifth, the session closes with partnership, not gratitude. The ending honors the collaborative nature of the work done together. After viewing, we'll debrief what you observed. Notice how all of Competency 8 emerges naturally. Not because I'm ticking boxes, but because this is what skilled coaching looks like when you're truly serving the client. The client did the work. I held the process. Watch with intention. Notice what I do and what I deliberately don't do. Both matter equally.